Welcome to CenteLive Podcast. It is such an honor to be here and hosting this conversation that we'll be talking about how to bank the secure way and also finding out ways on how to avoid falling victim to fraud. Personally, I have my own experience with agent banking, so this conversation is hitting really home. Now, we've seen the use of digital financial services increasing throughout the developing world, including Uganda. What this simply means is that customers are relying on these services to send and receive money, take out loans, and of course save. But what really happens when a third-party fraud happens? When an individual's identity or personal details are taken over and someone gets into your bank account, takes out your money, your hard-earned money. What happens? What do you do? How do you avoid that from really happening? So welcome, and joining us on this conversation is Miss Edith Kababure, who's the General Manager Operations Centenary Bank, and she's seated on my far right, and she'll be giving us perspectives onto really what the bank is doing to make sure their customers, for example, are not falling victim to fraud, and what you and I can really consider when we are banking. And also today we are hosting Mr. Emmanuel Chagara, who's the CEO, Milima Security, and of course he'll give us insights into the different forms of digital fraud in financing. So welcome, and thank you for being here with us on CenteLive Podcast.
Thank you, Sandrah. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm very excited to have this discussion. Looking forward to a great one.
Great. Now, I want us to hit, the elephant in the room right on. When we say digital fraud in financing, what do we mean? And what are the different forms that we're currently seeing in Uganda today?
So when we talk about digital fraud, first of all, what is digital? Digital basically is any technology solution that is running on digital patterns, all right? So today everything is digital. We have mobile phones, internet, ATMs, all of these are various forms of digital solutions. So digital fraud basically refers to any fraud that is committed using technology of any kind, as small as a small feature phone or as advanced as internet banking fraud. All of that constitutes what we call digital fraud.
Well, when we bring it home and we say in financing,
so
what do we mean?
In finance, really what we are seeing under digital fraud, we are seeing various forms of fraud being committed within digital solutions. One, there is that guy who calls you and says he's from Centenaries and he wants you to give him your PIN so that they help you with your loan request. Or you're having someone who is offering to help you at an ATM point with withdrawals, such that they can steal your PIN. Or you're having internet banking frauds where we're seeing our cards being stolen. Or basically online, we're seeing you do your transaction, you pay for your Facebook advert, and the next thing you know, you're now having messages, alerts coming of other transactions that you have conducted using your card. All of those forms of fraud fall under what we call digital fraud because it's being orchestrated based on technology.
Now, from where you sit, how bad is this problem?
Well, so first of all, when we look at the advancements in technology, in recent times we have seen an exponential growth in terms of use of technology across the divide. COVID even made it far more advancing. More and more people went online. I was able to use, for the very first time, internet banking. I was never into those things. So with the advancements in technology, we have also subsequently seen an exponential growth in digital-related fraud, which we also call cyber fraud. So how bad is it? I think it is quite a fast-growing crisis. Very many institutions are concerned about it. The users themselves are very concerned. The entire public is concerned. In recent times, I think as of last year, Uganda is estimated to have lost about $35 million to this fraud through various forms. So it could be through social media fraud, it could be through ATM fraud, it could be through direct siphoning of cash. We're seeing SIM swaps, and so it's quite a worrying situation, and I think it's very important that we have this kind of discussions to address it.
Well, you did mention that institutions now are really, stepping up. And I want to move this question to Miss Edith Kababure, who's the General Manager of Operations, Centenary Bank. Basically, what I want to understand and pick from you is how serious is the fraud issue in banking? Because we're continuing to see banks and telecom companies doing intensive fraud awareness. How bad is this issue in banking?
As people who have been entrusted with the people's money, I think for us, any form of fraud is considered serious. But to this subject, I think we've noted an increase in the number of fraud cases, especially during this time when the economy is going through rough times and everyone is constrained. So we're seeing the trends going up, and that is something that we consider very serious. And we're trying to see how that can be capped down. So yes, the trends are going up, so it is actually very serious.
Interesting indeed, and I will be coming back to you to again ask what the banking sector is doing to ensure that the customers, for example, do not fall victim to these different forms of fraud that you're mentioning. But again, I want to come back to you, Mr. Emmanuel Chagara, and I want us to, for the common person watching us, today, I want us to give them real examples. For example, I've been a victim. One time I didn't know, and someone literally called me and said, I've sent money on your phone. I'm so sorry I sent money. Please send it back to me. Is this also part of digital fraud in financing?
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, any form of fraud, and by the way, the biggest form of fraud that we're seeing is financial fraud. Why? Because anything that is finance motivated, guys are broke. The economy is hard. There's a certain big man who said we can't afford life. So if we can't afford life, then the easiest kind of fraud that we're going to be witnessing for a while is that financial related fraud. So a guy who calls you and says, I have sent you money, please send it back, that's financial fraud. Why? Because it's still impacting your finances. Of course, financial fraud cuts across financial institutions, telecoms, insurance firms, name it, health institutions, all of them are victims of financial fraud. In recent times, we have seen growing numbers of, I've sent you this money, I think you have seen the message, please send back. Even if you receive a message of, you have received 800,000, the guy says, okay, just send back 500,000.
Keep the 300.
Keep the 300. And you're like, well, that's not a bad deal for a day. If I can make my extra 300 in kindness, so you send back 500. Unfortunately, realized that it was just a fake message. Another one that I saw, this was from a very close friend, a workmate. He subscribed for a Facebook ad. And while doing his ads, he was using VPN, all right? And that's another issue also. So while using VPN, later on, he notices that now money is being debited off his account on other things that he's not aware of. So eventually, it comes down that the ATM that he had put onto, the Visa card number that he had put on the Facebook account is exactly what was being used by some hackers who had intercepted his credit card details, and they were able to make money off his account. So we're seeing diversity in this kind of fraud. We have seen, I have received way too many messages of this kind. You have received this amount of money, congratulations, click on this link. So there are those that will come directly to try and siphon money out of you. Then there are those who will send you links, so that once you click on those links, it is able to give them sensitive information that could then be used to commit the crime. For example, if I'm trying to get your internet banking details, you know that most of us have our internet banking details stored on our browsers, right?
Sure.
So if I send you a link which is able to steal, they call them cookies. So it's able to steal a cookie session from your browser. Sorry, I may be technical there, but most of us know cookies, right?
Yeah, we are always accepting them without reading them.
So if I'm able to send you that link,
it
steals those cookies, sends it back to me, then I'm able to create an internet banking session that you're currently having. Then from there, I can go on and have a field day. So really it's very diverse what these hackers can do with your system. As long as you give them one way in, they have a field day on you.
Well, let us now move on to, again, Miss Edith Kababure. We heard about how bad the fraud issue is in banking, but now give us, in detail, the different incidences that you're receiving from, say, your customers. What are they saying? Are they experiencing it? What are those recurring situations that are coming forth from customers, reporting probably they've been, they've fallen victim to fraud? Would like to hear from you, from where you sit again as a bank, these different incidences.
Okay, so fraud has been manifesting in different forms, ranging from social engineering, someone trying to get hold of your PIN and they can use your card to draw money. Someone, some fraudsters calling and, trying to get your personal information, especially for mobile banking, credentials. And then, of course, traditionally we had also other forms of fraud where people would come and they want to forge signatures, but that has gone down. But the recent one has been around mobile banking and card, and then also, of course, the online banking.
Well, I think this is a very timely conversation, and I want to believe that most of us, in one or the other, have used the bank, either to get a loan, or to save money, or to send money, or to receive money. So this is something that concerns you and I, and it's very important for us to create as much awareness as we possibly can, so that we all avoid falling victim to fraud. But again, I know there are those examples that have already happened. Maybe it has happened to you, and it would be very paramount for you to share with us in the comment section what really happened to you. What did you do? I mean, what exactly did you think, for example, when that message was sent to you? So you can comment in our comment section, and we'll be right there really to interact with you and look for better ways to avoid falling victim to fraud. I want us now to dive into the real, hard-on, conversation. What are those things that we should look out for in order to avoid falling victim to fraud? Once again, what is that one thing that happens? Because like I mentioned, for me, when someone called me and said, we've sent money, please send it back. I remember it was about 1.8, but on my account that day, on my phone, I had probably like 80K. So really, I did not think that I would have all that much money. But quickly I was like, oh, that is so bad. So I almost really wanted to send it back until someone said, no, this must be a fraud. So what are those things that really happen that people out there should, be aware of?
Let me first start by confirming that yes, technology is an enabler of processes, but also on the other side, it is not that all bad. Why? Because if we look at the positives, we're not going to go back. We need the technology to take us to the next level. So guys, let us stay and enjoy technology. However, what are some of the key red flags that you can look out for? And I'm going to focus on a form of fraud called social engineering. Social engineering is a special form of fraud, which is basically designed to exploit our human weaknesses. That is our trust, our anxiety, our greed, our excitement. All of these human weaknesses is what is exploited with social engineering. Now, if you received a message that is giving you a lot of pressure, all right? If you don't do this within the next 1 hour, we're going to switch off your SIM card. We are currently...
Red flag number one.
Red flag number one. What is all that pressure for? When did you notice that my account needs to be improved, or one of those ridiculous reasoning? Or in your circumstance, it's going to exploit your empathy, all right? So it's designed to exploit your empathy such that, oh, you feel sorry for this person, and you're like, sorry, Bami, let me send back your money. You see that? There are those that come with ridiculous pressures, deadlines, okay? Then there is what is too good to be true. We always say, if it's too good to be true, it probably is not the truth. You see that? In recent, back in the days, we used to have this fraud called the Nigerian prince. Nigerian man writes to you and says, hello, I am a Nigerian prince. I have this inheritance, but I'm trying to move that money out of my country. There's one that my sister received. It says that me and my husband have a lot of wealth, but we have decided to give it all away to charity. So now we want to start orphanages in Africa, and especially in your country. It is so lame that they don't even know which country they're trying to target. So in your country, so in your way, as you respond to them and say, yeah, you can welcome to Uganda, you're like, oh, so you're from Uganda, right? So you find that most times we easily give away information by ourselves to these hackers. So red flags such as pressures, deadlines, empathy, things like it's too good to be true. So you find that, oh, I want to wire $20 million into your account. Okay? So you offer your bank account there. And then when money is moved out of your bank account, you go and harass CenteLive Bank. But you realize that you handed over sensitive information. And most times I feel for the banks, because for the biggest part of the users, we're the ones who are handing away, we're giving away very sensitive information that is then being exploited by the hackers. But of course, we will always look for who to blame. You see that? So these kind of red flags are really what you should look out for. I recently received a message from a friend of mine whom I esteem very highly. This guy sends me a message and says, hey, is it you in this video? Now, of course, I am a CEO of a company. I think I have something to protect. So I would be very quick to click on that link and make sure I am not in some random, you know, these days we are seeing very crazy things coming out. So the moment you click on that link, you have handed over your passwords, you have handed over your usernames, and that is exactly how they take over your Facebook account, they take over your banking details. You see that? Yeah. Say, for example, email, okay? If your internet banking is linked to your email, which all internet banks are linked to the emails, and then you hand over your email, so someone can go to your channel and then reset your password. The reset comes back to the email, and then we take over your bank. That's what we call identity theft. So all of these kinds of fraud can easily happen just because they are exploiting our weaknesses. So it goes back to the issue of social engineering, which, by the way, contributes for up to 85% of vulnerabilities that we're seeing on our defensive systems. So you can build all the controls you want, you can build all the strong systems, but as long as people are still so weak and feeble, we're giving away sensitive information, you find that hackers are still having the best times of their lives.
Indeed, best times of their lives, indeed. Now, I'll be coming back to you in a bit just to pick your thoughts on what you think the banks should be doing differently to help their customers, you know, safeguard their finances and the like. Again, to Edith, and we heard from him on the different things that can pinpoint and say, this is a red flag, run for your life. In the banking sector, what are those things that we can, we can look out for? The red flags, so that we don't fall victim to fraud.
As a customer, you need to be aware of anyone who will want to get close to knowing your personal information regarding your account. For example, you're standing at the ATM and someone will offer help, from nowhere. Can I help? So in that process, they're able to see your details of your card, they're able to see your PIN, and in most cases, you find that your card has even been swapped after your, personal information has been revealed. We've had that common in the country. Many people have been conned by fraudsters, but also we've seen, fraudsters, calling purportedly to be, making calls from the bank and saying, I'm calling from this bank and we are making upgrades on mobile banking application. So we'll be changing your old PIN. Please share it so that we can send you the new PIN. So unsolicited phone calls All those are, red flags, and people should be aware of and should not pay attention to them. So you should only be receiving communication from the known communication lines of your bank, and people should try to, get these lines and master them so that you do not receive calls from, unsolicited callers, because most times those are going to be fraudsters.
So, Miss Edith Kababure, as we almost come to the end of our conversation, once again, I want to ask, as the bank, what are those mechanisms that you're putting in place to ensure that your people are fully informed, so that this whole issue of fraud does not happen to them?
We have put measures in place to protect our customers. For example, if you can block your card using your mobile banking application and leave it blocked if it's not in use, and only unblock it at the time that you want to use it. That's a very safe way of making sure that no one is going to get access to the card. So even if you just lost your card, or for some reason your bag is snatched from you, your card will be locked, and it can only be unlocked if someone has access to your phone and they have access to your mobile banking. So you see, there are different layers. So we'd encourage customers to actually use that application, get onto a mobile banking application. There is an option for locking your card, blocking and unblocking your card, and we encourage them that let your card be locked if it's not in use. But then, should it also happen that for some reason your card was not locked and it's lost, please, we encourage that you report immediately. We have a call center running 24/7. So once you call, we'll be able to pick it, and the team will be able to quickly block your card. So the most important is let fraud be reported as soon as it has happened.
Interesting, but also I know that as much as we may do so much awareness, there are those common mistakes that people that are banking with Centenary Bank continue to make. And I would want you to pinpoint those ones, so that if there's someone out there who's watching us today and they've made that mistake once, they're making it the second time, they're doing it the third time, they should know that they're actually putting themselves at risk.
There's sharing of cards, sharing of pins, and leaving the card in the wrong hands, not keeping it safely, because for the online transactions, you just need the information at the back of back and front of the card. Most of the sites will ask that. So keeping your card securely, don't share the passwords, the credentials, and then and even if you store it in your phone, how is it stored? And for most of the services, actually, we give you an option to set your PIN. So how strong is your PIN? If you do 1, 2, 3, if someone lands on your phone, there are chances that they will be able to guess that simple PIN. So do not use a simple PIN which could be easily guessed. Do not share, your phone details, and if you can't, don't write. Some people write a PIN on a piece of paper, and then they fold it into a card and put it in the wallet. So someone lands on the wallet and the PIN is also right there. So basically, how you keep your card, how you keep your phone information is very important. And yeah, it starts with you, just like your personal security starts with you, even your financial services security starts with you. Yeah.
All right, now let us move on to Mr. Emmanuel Chagara. As we conclude our conversation today, what would you recommend the bank does more?
The biggest challenge that we're seeing with the ongoing financial fraud is really exploitation of the human errors. And that's one of the biggest challenges. So continuous awareness is very essential. It is very paramount that people need to understand their part in the security process. Sure. You see, whenever we talk about security, most times we have relegated all of the responsibilities to the banks, to the various service providers. But we need to understand that everyone has a part to play for us to achieve effective digital security, effective cyber security. It is not one party plays, the other one does not. And that's why for us, when we talk about the comprehensive plan for achieving cyber security, we need to look at the people element, the process policy element, the technologies bit. So top of that agenda, the banks need to make sure that they're creating as much awareness as possible, especially in helping people to understand their risks, helping people to understand their responsibilities, and exactly how that plays into the overall security of their money. Yeah. So really it comes down to a comprehensive effort, okay? In recent times, we have seen the release of the Data Privacy Act, which I think is also very essential for common users to understand their responsibilities and also to understand their rights when it comes to sensitive information. It also helps banks and financial institutions equally to know their role in this effective data protection process. So with the right policies in place, with the right procedures being implemented, and by procedures I talk about onboarding new solutions. We're releasing a new digital channel. What was the process leading to that release of the new digital channel? The awareness is very essential. I know that many banks, I've seen Centenary doing it extensively. I think that we need to give in as much investment as possible in awareness.
It's very important to take a step back. If it is too good, then it's probably not true. So it's very important that we continue to have these conversations. Thank you so much, Centenary Bank, for making these conversations possible. I mean, creating awareness is what we should be doing. Everyone needs to know the ins and outs of fraud that exist in the banking sector. Thank you as well for being part of this podcast. Do remember to send in your comments in the comment section. We'll be definitely looking forward to hearing your experiences and how you're trying to protect yourself from falling victim to fraud. I have been your host, Sandrah Twinoburyo.